it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it.
It's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
this is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. Okay, that didn't work too good. I was wondering how they do that on the radio and stuff like that. They try to make the voice sound all crazy and stuff like that. Probably because you can't see them when they do it, or you laugh like I just did watching myself do it. Anyway, so welcome to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. Glad to have you in for another week. Hope your week has been awesome. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let everybody else know about the show. Feel free to let us know what you're thinking and how you're feeling in our comments, and we will do our best to read those live on the air and comment and respond. We come to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. So excited this week to be able to welcome along my co-host, Ms. Lori Parker. How you doing, Lori?
How you doing?
Good. And the man that needs no introduction, the myth, the legend, the one who helps us with all of our international ratings, all the women all over the world that sit there and say that everybody Head to Head is their number one source of entertainment. None other than Jermaine, the franchise Parker. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, brother.
Man, I'm above ground. That's all I could hope for.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And maybe some of our other panelists may end up joining. If not, this is what we got. This is what we're gonna roll with. Hope y'all have.
I'm ready to do some heavy lift. I got it. There on show.
You got it?
I got it.
Okay. Very cool. Man, where's the feedback? Somebody got their phone out?
No.
It's always something with the same thing. I'm hearing my voice twice, so now I don't think I hear it. Yeah, I do. I still hear it. Okay. Anyway, did y'all see this? For the 18th time, a former Trump official has come out with a book and basically let us know what we've already known is that Donald Trump was crazy as hell and he was a fool. So his latest descendant has been the former Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, who's coming out with his book to give us some insight as to some of the things that roll around in Donald Trump's mind. And not alarming. This feedback. Hold on a second. Let me try. Yeah. Okay. Y'all can still hear me? I muted Lori. Lori was coming from you. I don't know why. I don't know what you're doing. Anyway. Mark Esper put out in his book that Donald Trump wanted to fire cruise missiles into Mexico to supposedly get rid of the cartels. Firing missiles into our neighboring country, which is an act of war. But he wanted to get rid of the drugs and thought that would be the most effective way to do it, is just to basically fire weapons into a free country like that. Okay, just got a message from CJ. He's stuck in traffic. He won't be able to join. Anyway, and the crazy part was that he told them, well, we could do it, and they won't even know that it was us. Basically, just deny it. Did y'all hear this craziness too?
Yes. So a couple of things. I don't put all these people that come out after the fact because they're trying to sell books and stuff. I mean, I don't know how much credence that I can give somebody who says, I heard this man say this crazy stuff, but I didn't say anything. Right? You know, I think in some parts, a lot of people, just like Trump. So if you ask a Trump supporter about all these accusations from different people, what they would probably tell you is that person's trying to make money, they're grifting, and they're just saying things because a lot of people believe that he would do or say these things. And I, too, have some skepticism to say, maybe he didn't say all these things. Maybe he didn't do all these things. Because if he did, how did all these people hear all this stuff and no one raised any alarms? And
I'm
so
glad you said that. Yep.
it's a little, you know, and I'm not a fan, right? But I'm a reasonable dude, and a reasonable dude looks at this and goes, if he, you know, like the cruise missile thing, the United States. So and I talked about this when we talked about Russia and their aggression, stuff like that. The United States is the most hypocritical. We shoot up every place that we can, that we think we can get a dollar out of. Trump launched the cruise missiles, and you have to excuse me because I'm probably going to murder his name. They killed the Iranian general 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, good luck with that.
Qasim Soleimani, you know, he was a terrorist or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what it did. So the U.S. launching cruise missiles at who we perceive to be evil people, that's not unheard of. So him talking about it, well, he wanted to do it in Mexico. What does it matter? We fire cruise missiles around the world.
That is true.
The biggest gangster. We talk about. I'm not gonna get into that, but we talk about we talk about Young Thug and Gunner getting RICO charges and stuff. The United States needs RICO charges brought against it and stuff. It is the biggest gangster and criminal organization in the world. And people say, how do you say that? Well, because we violate sovereignty all the time. So him asking about it is not unreasonable because we do it all the time. People want to make this thing out that, oh, he's crazy for this, he's crazy for that stuff. I don't have the same opinion that other people, that other maybe who are not fans of Donald Trump have Donald Trump. It's not that I believe that he was a brilliant man or a brilliant businessman. I believe that he's an opportunistic dude, right? Who understood about building brands, who understood about, as a president, about controversy. If I keep the shit stirred up, you can never nail me for anything because I'm always doing something new. And so there's a lot of things. I bet there's 10 things I could name from his presidency that you forgot he did, because it only lasted a day or two before he did something else.
Correct.
And so
the king of misdirection.
He's a king of misdirection and stuff. And so people kind of like Esper and stuff. He wanted to shoot civilians. Yeah. He like.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Wanting to shoot the protesters in the leg, because they were actually out protesting.
Yeah, Esper says a lot of things and a lot of inflammatory things because he wants to sell books. Right? He doesn't have a job anymore. He's trying to make some money. He's trying to sell books and stuff. So any of these guys that come out after the fact with their stuff, I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can trust you because I couldn't trust you to tell me about it when it happened. Why would I trust you?
I agree. So how do you feel about whether it's journalist or the one that really got me going at first was when John Bolton left the White House as national what was he? The security advisor, right?
Yeah.
John Bolton left, and they were trying to get him to come in and testify and he wouldn't do it. And everybody knew he wouldn't do it because he had a book deal, and he was basically trying to save it for the book. And that if he testified, that'd be half his book right there, and that could affect his book sales. So he held on, didn't testify against Trump when he had all that information during the impeachment that could have really shed some light on, because the whole thing when it came to impeachment was to really be able to prove it, you got to be able to prove presence of mind, intent. And when you have somebody that's that close to you in your inner circle, it's a little bit easier to prove intent because of the conversations that they've had with you. So you kind of know what was in their head. And Bolton refused to do it. And it was presumably because he had a book coming out later, a couple months after that. And he did. And then he decided to talk about, like you said, how he wasn't fit for office. And he said all these crazy things, and was easy to see that he had no moral compass, and the only person he really cared about was himself. All the things that we knew, but he held the book. And then Jonathan Martin and the other writer that he worked with just came out with this other book where they leaked all these things with Kevin McCarthy saying this and all of this stuff. They started drip leaking, and you're going, how do you feel about the fact that people had the information, but they hold on to it for financial gain?
Bob Woodward did the interview at the beginning of the
Same person.
Outbreak, where he had Trump stating, contrary to what he said in the media stuff, that he understood that it was not the common flu. He understood all these things about the virus and stuff, and he held on to that because it was his book. He was writing stuff.
Yeah, Bob Woodward and Bob Acosta. Bob Acosta came out with a book. Yep.
And so you got all these people. So again, how much weight can I give to the things that you say if they're this shocking? And a lot of, and remember, again, I'm not a fan, but it does have some weight to me if a Trump supporter says, well, these guys all got fired or put out or whatever and stuff, or they're just drifting off the name, and that's how powerful Trump is, right? He's a kingmaker, and if you can mention his name and stuff, you can get some publicity for your stuff, and it gets out there. And so, when these guys are saying, "Hey, I was," and it's a little bit of revisionist history too, right? Because they're trying to say, "Well, the only reason I stuck around is because there needed to be an adult around." Who else was going to tell them no, that we can't nuke hurricanes?
Or who might he bring in after me that's even worse?
Yes, and who's going to tell them that China doesn't have a hurricane gun, that they're aiming hurricanes at the United States? Who else is going to tell them? I would presume anybody would tell them that, but sure,
or you can't nuke hurricanes.
You can't nuke hurricanes, but these same people are, because how do I believe you now when you prior to this told me that he was fit, that he was a genius? You know what I mean? Like all these guys are on record saying the opposite. Not like Kevin McCarthy, who is now saying that he's a genius, is on record, is on tape saying the opposite, the worst way. They're on record saying that he was good. So when it comes to Trump, and remember, everybody's picture of Trump changed week to week. Either he was so stupid that he couldn't do this, or he was this mass genius, right? That was undermining American democracy and stuff, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And the same way that people say that Joe Biden isn't the real president, but he's responsible for everything that from the office, his administration is responsible. If Trump's truly still the president, then he's responsible. No. And so logic says that you can't have it both ways. And in fact, in a lot of this, you can't even have it 50-50. It's one or the other. Either he was so bad or he was such a genius. Either he was incompetent or he was competent and stuff. And quite honestly, I think, when I judge Trump, I judge him on the things he says when it comes to him answering questions and stuff like that. That's where I judge Trump, not based on what these clowns are saying. I think that we were doing exactly what they want, right, by bringing their names up and talking about the things that they want to talk about. They give this one, but it's like a movie trailer. They're hitting the highlights. There's nothing else in the book. There's nothing else. I'm going to tell you. If you see the trailer,
I would just watch for the highlights. I am in no way saying support these books, whether it was Omarosa's book whether it was Bob Woodward, Bob Acosta, whether it was any interviews that Rex Tillerson has done, whether it was anything that Stephanie Grisham has done, waiting for Kayleigh McEnany to come out with something. Chris Christie coming out now acting like he told Trump like it was, even though he was his friend, he told him the truth and whatever, dude. Whatever. A lot of it is trying to rehabilitate my image after Trump because he crapped on it so bad. Or no. Yeah. I gave up my image for power, and now that has passed, I need to be able to try to rehabilitate myself so I have a second act in this game. So that's what a lot of them are really doing now. Revisionist history is like proximity to Trump can put you in a really bad spot, and now you're trying to wash yourself clean out of it. And like you said, it's a bunch of revisionist history because people are playing the same hits, saying, well, we considered the 25th Amendment. We didn't think he was fit for office. We all had secret meetings to make sure that we didn't get easy communications from the White House saying, hey, let's bomb Russia and put Chinese information on the sides of the jet so he wouldn't know it was us. Hey, you gotta admit, some of that's hilarious, but you're like, okay, I mean, it's not far-fetched to believe that he would try to get away with something. Of course he would.
I would say what the appeal Trump has is that Trump is an average American, right? And that he doesn't have anything about how our government works. Not really. He's seen a lot of movies. He's heard a lot of things he asked about were, pop culture type things. And as a man that consumes a lot of television, and again, how old is Trump? If you went to a southern state and you, huh?
No, I'm sorry, he's over 70. What is he, 76?
Yeah, he's over 70. So if you went to the South right now, you plucked a 72-year-old conservative out, and I mean just randomly, I mean you might get an old doctor, an old lawyer, or something like that. But if you're just in the average educational portfolio of the average Southern 70-year-old, and you ask them questions, they would speak like Trump. They would have some high key, low key racist stuff that they would say. They might, hey boy, I no offense, that's just what I've called you, people for so long. He would say stuff. He would think that there was cartels and all these caravans that never made it crashing against the U.S. border and stuff, and they were coming to kill people and all this other stuff and all the things that he would believe that kind of stuff. Hell, he might even believe that there was a hurricane cannon. He might believe that, hey, these cartels, and let me give him credit on this. If Mexican drug cartels are to be believed as bad, and I'm not saying they're not bad, I get proper phrasing on that because I don't want people going, you don't believe the Mexican drug cartels are bad? Yes, they're bad. But they're bad, they kill people and stuff. And so if it was a national security issue, just like they felt like that Iranian general was a national security issue because he had plotted to kill people and stuff, Americans and service members and stuff. If it was that's not a bad question to ask. That's like when I heard that, I was like, we want to fire missiles in Mexico. And again, I said, U.S. history says we do that. So he's not on brand by asking. You trying to make it seem like it's unusual. And that's why I can't put real weight on the rest of it.
How do you put weight, though, on him at rallies still bragging about passing a dementia test?
Because he's a broken record. That's why he is. But most politicians are.
That is true. That is true. When they do a stump speech, they will say the same thing 80 times as a stump speech. That is true.
It's hard to it's like a comedian. If you go see Dave Chappelle in Charlotte, there's no reason to fly to San Francisco to see him. He's telling the same jokes, right? They might work one or two new jokes in, which is what politicians do, but they have their set material that works, and it's the hit for the crowds and stuff. you want to hear those jokes. And so he tells the same stuff over and over again. So him still telling the same stuff, he's a politician. As much as he says he's not a politician, he's a politician. He can't say that anymore. You were president of the United States. You can't come out and say, well, I'm not a politician. You absolutely.
Yeah, I'm an outsider, you can't say that anymore.
Yeah, you cannot strip at a strip club and go, I'm not a stripper. I don't care what your moral beliefs are, but you took your clothes off and you sold your soul. That's who you are. And so same thing for a politician. He undressed himself in front of the world and sold his soul. You cannot come back to me and tell me that that's not who you are.
Not that we're saying we have anything against strippers.
No,
at all.
No. The only thing I have against strippers is dollars. Yeah.
We ain't got nothing against strippers, just saying.
Nothing but dollars. But seriously and stuff, so all these people coming out, I think Trump sells himself on, if you're listening, if you pay attention to the things he says, a lot of people, because he's so funny, because remember, there's times when people said, they wanted to clean up what he said and clarify for him when he was just joking. When he would turn around and say, I wasn't joking. I meant that. Right? And people were like, oh, of course he didn't mean that. I meant every word of that. The famous stuff like the bleach and making a Sharpie for the hurricane round, and who did that. There's just so many gaffes, which is why I think it's so funny when those same people make fun of Joe Biden. One of the things that I will say is that Democrats tend not to hero worship their politicians the way that Trump is a demigod among the MAGA crowd, and that's why they get hurt. We're going to say, let's go Brandon, and we're going to do all this, and it's going to hurt people's feelings and stuff because it hurt our feelings when people talk about Trump. And what they don't understand is that nobody cares. And in fact, at the press corps dinner, the president himself made a joke about the Let's Go Brandon. He said, I heard about this Brandon guy. He's been having a great year and stuff. And so Trump couldn't do that. Those are
right. Well, you're right, except he did do something one time that made me say, you know what? He actually can poke some fun at himself when he was doing one of his speeches about these damn incandescent lights, how the regulations are trying to take them away and move to these other lights. And he said, I don't like those other lights. They make me look orange. And everybody busted out laughing. And I was like, oh, wow, that's actually pretty damn funny because the running joke is always been that he looks like a damn orangutan.
Yeah, and that's, and so I guess, as bad as I thought that Trump was, I'm not like a lot of people who are, if that's the opposition from where I stand, and I had a guy tell me, say, because I post stuff, and he's like, well, I know that you're a Democrat and stuff. I said, well, I'm actually I'm not registered in any political party. I said, I could vote for either one. I said, it just so happens that Republicans seem to be against the things that I'm against, or are not for the things that I'm for, however you want to phrase that. And so, if you want to look at my voting history, have I ever voted for a Republican? I have, because what they ran on were things that I was for. And so, I'm not for spending all our money. Is a proud veteran and stuff. I think I was listening about a guy, and people always talk about veterans dying and stuff. And I thought to myself, if we would stay out of the world's business and stay at home, how many veterans would actually die? How much post-traumatic, how much money would we save? When we talk about, and that was a Trump thing, right? About taking care of America first, taking care of America and staying out of some of these things. So it's not that some of those things don't resonate with me. When he says those things, it does, but I understand as a mature adult that the world economy doesn't allow us to stay out of everything. But we don't have to get
I think, why are you saying that? I think there's a difference between America first and America only.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think what he was really pushing to a lot of people was America only, not America first. He called it that, but I think saying that I want to make sure that we are taking care of our country before we take care of other countries, to me, is only being responsible. That's like me saying, I'm gonna take care of my house before I go help somebody else with their house. Because if I can't keep my house together, how am I gonna help somebody out with theirs?
And so when he talks about those things, you're like, yeah, or at least me, I go, and when the Republican Party talks about those things, and that's kind of the thing, I think that there are some solid messaging from both parties, right? That, you know, if I was, you know,
no, breaking up, we're losing you. Oh, he froze out on me. It's that right wing again. They try to take Jermaine down. He's freezing in different spots.
Yep. All right.
Come back to me. Come back to me. Kinda, yeah. You look like you're back now. I think. Now you froze again.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard the how about now. Then you keep moving back and forth.
Yeah, this is painful. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's all good.
I guess Candace Owens heard me wanting to take some of her money. Now she's playing my internet.
Did she overhear our conversation an hour ago?
Like, as soon as I said if there's somebody Republicans want to get some money to help with the black people problem, my internet.
That happened to you last week when you started talking about that, and that little white truck kept going up and down the street on you.
Yep, same thing, same time. But no,
oh
really,
my God.
I think in the messaging, right, and maybe in the execution too, not maybe in the execution too of policy, I think there's a chance for Republicans and Democrats to become centralized again, right, where we don't have the far left or far right, that they are able to, while staying within their lanes, play to the messaging of their parties and stuff. And I know this is way off of the original topic of, what do we think about these books and stuff. But I think it goes kind of back to that in terms of when we're looking at these people who are putting out these books and stuff, if they really want to rehab their image and stuff, there's some centralized messaging in their party where they can still invoke Trump, but advance their party and their messaging forward at the same time without trying to use the toilet bowl tactics of demeaning the man in order to sell books.
Do you think that some of them are resorting to that because they can't fit in with today's Republican Party? And what I mean by that is that a lot of these people would be normally called institutionalists, which in the old days, that was more just what a regular Republican would call themselves. But now that a lot of them have basically sold themselves out to this dude, like once January 6th happened, I think they thought that was going to be their reset button. Even Mitch McConnell had made a comment that the SOB done basically screwed himself. Everybody kind of thought that was just a bridge too far. Lindsey Graham said, me and Trump had a hell of a ride. I'm out, all of this and that. Everybody thought that this was going to be the thing to make his base finally say, you know what, we got to let this dude go. And it wasn't until they realized his base wasn't going anywhere till they had to snap back and go, we ain't done with this dude yet. So, well, I guess what I'm asking is, it seems to me like a lot of Republicans kind of want to go back to where they were pre-Trump and figure we got to ride this as long as we have to, but eventually at some point it's going to end. but he's kind of showing you that he's not a one-trick pony. He ain't really going anywhere as soon as you think. And because you basically married yourself to him, this is going to be a longer marriage than you thought. And you saying that we need to go back to our Republican because you've abandoned your principles. You were the party of conservatism. You were the party of family values. You were all of these different things. And even though you're trying to move abortion rights and all that kind of stuff, which is not a popular thing, that is some of the things that your party was about pre-Trump. Now you're trying to reshift the center back to where it was, but he still has such a hold on your party. He's not allowing you to do that. And the ones that try to break free and try to carve out a lane for themselves can't win in primaries because the extreme candidate wins. And then the whole problem is, can the extreme candidate win in a general? Because then that person has to then be able to move a little bit more to the center, and they're not interested in that. What do you think about all that?
Well, I mean, it's a lot, and so I'll say yes. Yes to a lot of that, right? Yes to the fact that a lot of these people have to invoke his name because they're not popular in the party. They were people that were close to him in his administration stuff, but like a lot of administrations, people come and go. And so these are people who are gone, who are looking for that last cash grab, whatever it is and stuff. And would they be considered centralists? Not, pre-Trump kind of people and stuff like Bolton, absolutely. Bolton had some wild ideas, right? About foreign policy that he put out there.
Yeah, I mean, he was the damn war hawk.
Yeah.
Liz Cheney, war hawk. Lindsey Graham, war hawk.
I think the thing and I'm not sure how at this point they've underestimated. They thought after January 6th, because, and you like say Graham, McCarthy, all these people can call and tape and stuff, they all had the same conversation, 25th Amendment, they're going to take them out for us and stuff, because they thought public perception had swung after the 6th. And what they didn't understand was, or what I feel they understand, what they didn't understand was, it was his base that was there January 6th. They all thought it was a good idea. It wasn't going to change.
Exactly.
Right? You know
That enough people would look at that and go, we were outraged because they were coming for us, so surely the country is behind us. And they found out, they would have been fine if all of y'all had been hung and strung up.
Yeah, they'd have strung you up, got somebody else in there and stuff, called you traitors and stuff, hung Mike Pence. They'd have done all that stuff, right?
All of that.
And so they had to, one by one, go down to Mar-a-Lago, kiss the ring, apologize for that before underestimating his power. And so, I previously said in this very episode that Trump can't say he's not a politician. Well, he is a politician, but he's more than a politician, right? He's like demigod. He's a demigod for them. He is a movement and a thought for them. Trumpism is a thing. There's more Trumpism than there's Republicanism or Republican values and stuff anymore. The way that he goes, and so he was a symbol for a lot of white angst, right? I like to use that word angst, but he was for a lot of anger and a lot of grievances, right? That people have had, and how would I know? Because they put them online. And then they troll shows like ours and stuff, right? When they say that.
Yeah, that skank Lori is hiding today.
Yeah, that's what Lori's hiding today, because they go in. The thing is like, but sincerely, I don't know how they didn't know that party was his, and will continue to be. He is going to be the nominee. The next presidential cycle. He's their nominee.
He reminds me of Debo. And if y'all know who Debo is, go check out Friday. It's a good movie. But it's like when they have to keep looking up and down the street to see if Debo is coming, to see if the coast is clear. And if Debo does kind of come up, you got to change how you act, change how you stand and everything, because you don't want Debo. You got to hide your chain and all that stuff. Because like like a famous philosopher said, I heard you've been trying to give your chain away. That's kind of like giving your fame away. What's wrong with you sitting in a box like the owners do? A boss is a role that I've grown into. I love you to death, but I told you the truth. I can't be with you and only you. There you go, Drake. Anyway, but no. So they would hide their chain and everything else like that. Okay, Sarah Parker says, Jermaine, are you wearing blue nail polish? Making lots of good points. What?
No, it's probably just my ring light. Thank you. Just ring.
So you're saying he's pretty and he's making good points?
Well, I think thank you. How many people say thank you, mama? Hey. Thank you, mama.
Yeah, hey, listen, he's using his pronouns, so it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But no, it's kind of like having Debo. Trump is Debo, where when Debo's around, you got to act one way, and you're always constantly looking to make sure Debo's not coming. And that's kind of what it seems like. He's hijacked their party, and they think that at some point they're going to be able to just knock him the hell out and get it back.
I think, and so here's my counter to that. I don't think that Trump has hijacked the party so much as that Trump was more aware of what was going on in the party than they were.
Great point. Great point.
I think that what he did, because I didn't say he's not a great businessman, but he's an opportunistic guy. I said that at the beginning of this episode too. And so he saw an opportunity. He heard the undercurrent of what the party was talking about and
played into it.
And he leaned into it. And so if you remember, as we came out of the 2000s and 2008 with Obama stuff and a lot of people screaming about our political correct culture that we had going on and stuff, a lot of people were being shamed for having some of these thoughts, right? And Trump was a guy who came and said, you can say that shit. I'll say it too. I'll say it first. We don't want the Mexicans. We don't want other people coming and taking jobs. We don't need it. And they're like, it's okay to say that shit.
Yeah, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're this, they're that.
I think that when I see them, you're right, because I close when I'm on the airplane, I clutch my purse when they walk by. I lock my car doors and stuff. I think that stuff, Trump heard it and he magnified it. He didn't take over the party so much as he listened to the party with the base.
Yeah.
He listened to the base and became a champion for the base. Right.
He became a sounding board for those that thought that their voices had been silenced. Yeah. He became their megaphone and their champion.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah. And you're right, because what corporate Republicans and corporate Democrats for so long had done is be so out of touch with their voters and more in touch with their donors.
Yes.
And not understanding that your donors and your voters are two totally different groups.
Yes.
Your donors, the lobbyists, the folks that keep you from voting on specific legislation and regulations and things like that fund Democrats and Republicans. So what Trump basically did was he turned to that union worker, that plumber, that disgruntled person that has been on the job for 30 years and they're sending their jobs offshore somewhere, and said, I hear you. And as CJ just said in the comments, he's saying the quiet part out loud. And what happens is then when people hear somebody intimating what they've been thinking, they look at you more and go, that's my man right there. That's because now that's somebody that gets me. He gets me. And because don't be illusion, Trump ain't never had to go in the grocery store and buy some cereal, even though he tell you about needing ID for some cereal. They look past that stuff. Trump ain't never had to pump his own gas. He don't give a damn if gas is $5 a gallon, $20 a gallon. Could care less. Okay? But he says stuff that I can identify with. He makes me think that he's a guy that I can sit down and have a beer with. You greasy, unethical politicians, I could never do that because I'd always have to make sure that you weren't about to stab me in my freaking back. He normalized my feelings and made them seem like they needed to be heard, and he would be the one to carry our voices to Washington and make sure people heard us. With the word you used was angst. There was a lot of angst about the direction that this country is going. As I've said, a lot of these folks that want to be Christians on on Sundays, I don't know what they is Monday through Saturday, but they Sunday Christians feel like that this country is going down a dark path or going down into hell, and Trump is the one to bring them out of that. And somehow I don't know how somebody's had 3 wives and all these different kids and stuff. But anyway, it's going to restore the Christian faith. But he said all the right things. He posed in front of a building with a Bible upside down. He does those kind of things, right? So they still think that, hey, he's the one that's going to get us on the right path. We can say Merry Christmas again. Sunday only Christians, yep. He brought back Christmas. He brought back where we could say Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas is a Christian term. If I'm Muslim, I'm not walking around saying Merry Christmas. He didn't bring it back. He's trying to say, hey, because everything's politically correct, we don't want to be politically correct. If we're Christian, we want to feel like we can say this. If we're Christians, we want to feel like we can do that. And all of this is being suppressed in the name of political correctness and the better good and being more diverse and accepting of other cultures and things like that, where we don't want to be accepting of other cultures. We pretty much like our group as closed as it is because that's what we feel comfortable with. And he's basically telling us that's okay.
So I would push back on a couple little things. It may be semantics, right? And so my pushback is that I don't believe they're Sunday only Christians. I believe that Christians historically have been some of the most horrible people who ever walked the earth. And because they have the Crusades, I'm serious.
Yeah.
These are
no, I agree with you. That was more of a tongue in cheek, but you're absolutely right. I agree with you.
No, and so because it leads into, I think, I'm gonna ride this into a point, right? Is that when we talk about all right, Lolo,
put up the graphics. Huh? No, I was telling my production person to go ahead and put in the graphic. He's about to go in. Go ahead.
Oh, when we talk about again, if you look at Christianity as a whole and how Christians are, right, and the Crusades and my beliefs are going to be forced on you, even if I had to kill you to maintain my beliefs. When we look at American history of Christianity and stuff, how Christianity was taught and given to slaves so they'd be docile and stuff, and they would accept their position in life, that they was God-given, that they were supposed to be in that position, right? When we look at how they burned women at the stake for witchcraft, that's not just on Sunday. Those were Monday through Sunday type behavior for Christianity and stuff. And so when you look at this party and you look at these values, these Christian values and stuff, that's why there's such a disconnect between 1/3 of the country who believes that women don't have the rights to be autonomous in how they deal with their body and stuff. And it's the Christian values, when we talk about family first, traditional Republican values and stuff, going back to our base and stuff, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about returning to these Christian values. It's not popular within the country. Everybody doesn't believe these things, but a lot of fear-mongering and stuff has led us to this point. Like, they've been working to overturn Roe versus Wade for a half a century and stuff. I mean, since it was instituted. And the big thing is that when you look at Trump's not, they don't think that Trump's Jesus. They think he's they do have him as a Paul type guy, right? So when we talk about all his sins and stuff, yeah, but how many people have sinned, have been prophets for the Lord? Because the Lord can do anything, right? He can move through anybody. So when they elevate him up here, they don't believe he's a golden calf. They believe he's like an apostle. Yeah, he's had all this stuff, but look where he is now. Look what the good that's being worked on him.
So he's Saul, and then it became Paul.
Yes. Yes. So all that stuff previous, and so when you try to, like, how many memes do you see where people tag in and say, you can't attack my past because I don't live there no more. Well, he don't live there no more. It don't matter about the porn stars. It don't matter about all that stuff because he is Paul now. He's not Saul. You know what I mean? He's transformed, and now he's leading these people to the promised land. How do I know? Because he got them 3 Supreme Court justices. He's overturning something that they've been working for 50 years to do. Trump was able to institute that in a 4-year period. Just think about how he's moved everything around in the political landscape in the last 6 years since he was president and stuff. So when I say it's semantics and stuff, it is that, you know, when you look at Trump, you can't say to Trump supporters, look how bad he was, because that was the old him. This is the new me.
Right.
The new me is stepping out. And that's why people feel free to attach themselves to his name and stuff and need him, just like a prophet, to say, oh, no, this is one of my disciples down here too, right? This is somebody who's carrying the word.
Yeah, I've actually heard Billy Graham's son actually kind of intimate the same thing, where he basically said, you know, God uses all kinds of people, as he did in the Bible, not always the people that had the squeakiest clean background to be able to bring the message. And he was right. A lot of Jesus's disciples had some really sketchy paths before they met up with the man himself. And that was kind of the point.
Yes,
was to show you that who you were doesn't necessarily define who you end up being.
And that is a message. It's a great message for Christianity, right? Because nobody's perfect. And what it says is that even in my imperfect state, I can still be of use and service to the Lord. I can still be a soldier in his army and stuff. I don't have to be 100% perfect. So when you look at the base for Trump and stuff, and they go, it doesn't matter because I too am not perfect. I identify with that. Here's somebody who has lots of money and who could easily stay out of this, right? But here he is coming down. That's why when people say, and Democrats are so like, well, he's not a common man. You know, he's rich and stuff. And they're like, yeah, we know. He didn't have to do this. And he says it all the time, right? Oh, people ask me why I lose so much money being the president, this and that, like that. We know that's BS, that he's enriching himself off the presidency stuff. He wasn't losing money. He wasn't making as much money with his hotels and stuff. But the point is that that's how he's viewed. He did the thing that a lot of people can't do. He listened to his base. He repeated what they said back to him, that active listening and stuff. And he is delivering on the things. And that's the other thing that Democrats don't do. They don't deliver on their promises and stuff. Joe Biden said that he was going to cancel student loan debt when he was on the campaign trail. Now he's talking about, hey, maybe $1.50. You know, I don't know if I can do that. Joe, they don't like you. You're not going to win no friends. I don't know. And so Joe's stuck. He's like a lot of politicians stuck in the past, trying to do things, trying to play by the rules of the past when the rules have changed. And Trumpism and those guys have moved forward. They're advancing their agenda. They're changing the game. You know, there was a point in American history and military history where armies would line up on a battlefield and they would face each other in an honorable fashion, right? And they would shoot each other across the field. They march towards each other. Some stupid dude beating the drum, somebody carrying a flag with no gun and stuff, and they'd be lolling. Their cannonballs would be flying. It was brutal and stuff. We don't do that no more. The battlefield's changed, right? We would never do that. There's too many losses. We need cover. We need armor. We need to protect our positions and stuff. It's okay if we come in with SEAL Team 6 and we come under the cloak of darkness and stuff, and we get our stuff done because the mission and objectives are what's important, not so much the honorability of how we fight and stuff. And so Republicans have changed the battlefield and how they fight. It's okay for them to have their tactical teams that come in and do some clandestine stuff, as long as the messaging and the principles are advanced and stuff. Democrats are still with their muskets and their cannons trying to fight a battle that nobody is fighting with them anymore, and that's why they can't be effective. Even though they hold the presidency, they hold the House, and they hold the Senate, they cannot do anything, and the minority is still running them because they are fighting the real fight.
Two points on that. When you talk about student debt, I have a sneaky suspicion that he's going to move on that. I don't know how much, but this is my suspicion. Let's see if it comes true, because I'm going to say it May 12th, 2022. My suspicion is he's literally waiting until the summer, because he's not in any rush right now, because there's a moratorium on paying off student loan debt. So right now, nobody's up against the gun right now for having to pay back anything. So he's bought himself some time with that. It's going to end at a time when then he can forgive it, and then he would have about a 45 to 60-day window before the midterm elections. So to me, he's using it as a political tool to do it closer to the election, so that people's memories, because like you said, with Trump, Trump could do something today, and 5 days from now, you ain't even thinking about it no more, because we done moved on to the next ludicrous thing that he's done. So what Biden, I think, is trying to do, wrongfully though, is use us in a way where we stay energized about the midterms. Like, they keep trying to come up with all these, I want to say faux outrages, like with the abortion and all that stuff. But now they're raising money off of this, and they're basically hitching their wagon to, this is what's going to save us in the midterms. And it's kind of sad, because all the Republicans need to get the majority in the House, 5 seats. All they have to do is flip 5 seats.
Yeah.
That don't seem like a lot. That seems like y'all can't keep 5 damn seats. No. Well, with all the gerrymandering, redistricting, and the fact that you're in an unpopular party, and normally the party in power loses in the midterms, the fact that 5 seats can sink you out of the majority is sad in and of itself. But I think he's trying to use those ploys to hold on to those 5 seats.
I think in terms of, and so you're right. I think the same thing. I think he's going to do it closer, because there's no political gain for him doing it now, right? People have forgotten about that, by the time the midterms come around.
Like COVID relief. Nobody's going to remember in midterms that we gave out checks last year for COVID.
No, absolutely not. That was too long ago and stuff. And so you're absolutely right. He's gonna wait. But the thing about Democrats, not just because traditionally the one in power, it's the Republicans are better organized in their messaging and stuff. Democrats are not a party of one. They're about 3 parties in one, right? And that's why they can't come together to vote on stuff, unless it matters. And what I mean by that is that, so we talk about the abortion stuff. So they came together and voted and said, you know what, Supreme Court justices need more protection, and we need to protect these justices from peaceful protests. Which is funny, because the Supreme Court actually said that it was okay to protest outside, right? And so it's funny that now they don't want that same anger pointed at them. Peaceful protest.
I know you kind of touching into part 2 of the subject of the hypocrisy in these politics, where they did say protesting is okay. It's funny how protesting on January the 6th was a tourist event, and the people that went up to the Capitol were tourists. They were patriots. They were good Americans and everything else like this. Now people standing out front of Supreme Court justices' houses are a bunch of thugs and goons.
Yes.
It's funny how, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Susan Collins called the police because somebody wrote.
I was about to go there.
Yep. Message. And what it said was, basically it said please in there, number one.
Please, Susie.
Please, Susie. Basically about the Roe versus Wade, which she voted against, codifying the law. They lost that 49-51 because and everybody wants to blame Joe Manchin for stuff. But we all know, we've talked about this multiple times on the show. We already know who he is. It's about the Republicans, and they wanted to get them on record saying it's not because they when the stuff was released, kind of, oh, that's so sad. Whatever would anybody do? I don't believe that that's the right way. And then they made them vote on it to show what their position was in a vote and stuff. Again, I think it's too early for that because people are going to forget about that. It's not going to be important in the next couple of months because there will be some other dog and pony show in there and stuff.
But CJ, but I kind of push back on that a little bit. They should have been doing this from the get-go, whether it was abortion, whether it was voting rights, whether it was policing issues and things like that. Remember, I said a long time ago, see, what they like to do is they don't want to bring any bill to the floor that won't pass. Why? Now, I got my thing about this, Jermaine. You bring it to the floor so that you can get everybody on the record and say, this is where this SOB stands. Because we can then run political ads against you. That's the whole reason that they sit there and they get your donations and they run all these ads and you know they're going to go negative and stuff like that. Where they can bring up your record and say, Madison Cawthorn voted against Ukraine aid. Madison Cawthorn voted against abortion rights. Madison Cawthorn is not looking out for you. He's and tie it to who his donors are and stuff like that. Is Madison Cawthorn for you or is he for the lobbyists? And you make a freaking ad out of that. I think the problem with the Democrats is they're just as freaking corrupt as the Republicans, and some of them would have to take hard stances on some of these votes too, and they wouldn't get any cover. So the cover that they're getting is Schumer basically saying, I'm going to swallow this whistle and basically say we didn't have the votes to pass it, when the truth of the matter is that Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are taking bullets about the filibuster, and you probably got 6 other Democrats that don't feel that feel the exact same way, that are hiding behind Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. And instead of them getting primaried, you're trying to protect their seats because they could be vulnerable if somebody were to find out that they are just as crazy as Joe Manchin on some of these issues. Sorry.
Let me tell this, and I'll be quick. I'll try to be quick with the story. So I figured out politics a long time ago when I was in junior high at J.T. Williams. J.T. Williams alumni, big white dome. So to be quick is that I think I must have been 8th grade, 9th grade, whatever it was and stuff, and they had the student council stuff, and I'm a procrastinator and stuff, and I thought to myself, I really would like to run for some kind of office or whatever, and the way it worked is that most votes got to be president, second most votes got to be vice president, and then so on as you filled out student body and stuff. And so, we didn't grow up with a lot of money, and so there were people who had posters and who campaigned for these jobs, right? And they ran on issues that junior high people, lunch and it's stuff that like real politicians, stuff that they could not affect. But they ran on this stuff for weeks, right? And I wanted to participate, and so the very last, the day before, I decided that I was going to put my name in so I could run. And so I not one poster, not one speech, not one anything. I became the vice president of the student council. I got second most votes. I wasn't very popular. I wasn't that kind of popular guy, but I got the votes. You know how I got the votes? I took a black shirt. I took some white cardboard, and I made a collar like a pastor and stuff. And I took a Bible, and I did my best Southern Baptist impression of and I hooted and hollered, and I'm going to take it to the promised land. And they ate it up. There was a young Caucasian female, and I can't remember her last name, but her first name was Lori, who saw the blasphemy in what I was doing, and she actually came up to take my Bible from her, and I hit her on the head with the Bible, and was like, "I'll hear you," and she fell back and stuff, and the crowd went wild.
They probably thought that was part of the bit.
It was hilarious, right? It was entertaining. People don't care. All those people who had tried to get in the student body, I didn't do anything but perform for them for about 10 minutes, and I got second most votes.
Damn.
Imagine if I had a poster.
Imagine if you had done that for a whole week.
A whole week. Had been going around healing people.
You'd have been the president. Hell, they might have made you principal. They might have made you principal. Or superintendent.
I mean, they'd eventually fire me because they fire every superintendent here.
Oh yeah, they fire all the superintendents. Yeah.
But the point to the story is that I understood back then what I understand in abundance now is that people are about spectacle. Hence the reason Trump was so popular when people said he sat on stages with career politicians who had facts and things to run off of, and he was spectacle. And people love spectacle. So
amen to that.
When we talk about, I guess my pushback to running and primarying people on votes and stuff like that, they don't care. Because if you can have the spectacle in November or October, leading into November, you can win. People don't care. They don't. I know because most people don't. It was like 20% turnout for local elections. People don't care. And those are the issues that affect their wallets, that affect their kids. And they won't show up to put their voice forward for it. Your vote matters. It matters who you vote for. When I say that black and brown people need to have their own political party that they run on in their local elections and state election stuff, I'm serious about that because these other parties don't care and do if they've got to come to your community to try to figure out what it is you're talking about, that means they don't know. And they only come just to show up and kiss a baby. Mwah, they kiss a baby and they leave. And you never see them again.
Or show up to a church service. Show up to a church service.
You clapping off beating church is not helping me. We need politicians who matter to our community, who instinctively, intrinsically know the issues that we have. We don't need it. When you got to sit there, well, explain it to me again. I don't want to explain it to you again because we've been explaining the same thing for years. When we talk about this conservative movement and stuff, and I talk about these Monday through Sunday Christians and stuff, and what they're looking at, when they look at laws and stuff, a lot of things are not solidified for voter rights and stuff. Gay marriage, all this stuff needs to be taken care of. The fact that the Supreme Court has an opportunity after 50 years to reverse this decision, it means that there's 50 years of inactivity by Democrats to get it into law. They've had the chance multiple times. This is not their only time. It's not Joe Manchin's fault.
No, totally not. No, totally not. No, you're absolutely right. Where they've both, and I hate both sides things because I don't think both sides are equally wrong. But they've had a hand to play in it, so they're not totally clean from that. Where yes, everybody always punts because everybody basically is, as soon as they get elected, they're running for re-election. Yep. So they're never really doing anything because they're always about the next thing. And that's what power does to you is that once you have power, it's not enough. I need more and more and more. And remember when you really wouldn't know until about 18 months whether somebody was running for president? Hell, 3 years outside of that time now somebody's running for president. Or is starting to have or they have their experimental or whatever they call them committees that kind of test the wheat, test out there, get the weather, get the temperature, and see what's going on. Their exploratory committee, that's what they call it. So they do all of that now, but it's 3 years out. It used to be 18 months. It used to sometimes be a year out before somebody would announce that they're running for president. But they're doing it earlier and earlier and earlier because of that thirst for power. I got to get out there. And those kind of things. So what happens when people don't have term limits and they're constantly running, when they're constantly in campaign mode, they're never in legislative mode. Because the idea isn't to actually get things done. The idea is keep status quo like it is. The whole thing with the whole abortion thing was it was always a good soundbite for them to continue to do. I think they're the dog chasing the car. Once the car stops, now what does the dog do? The only purpose for the dog was to chase the damn car. Now they've caught the car, and now they got to act like, yeah, we really want to do this. Well, if that's what they really wanted to do, a lot more of them, in my opinion, would be damn near celebrating that they're going to do these things, but they're still talking about it in darker rooms. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think that they understand. And so once again, when we talk about what's popular and stuff, in polls and stuff, and so we know that it's popular for America that at least 2/3 of Americans believe that women should have that human rights are women's rights, right?
70%. Yep.
And it's a civil issue, right? And they believe that. They're not celebrating because this is what they want, but they understand it's unpopular. So there's no reason for me to do a touchdown dance because I got what I wanted. I don't need to take a victory lap because everybody that wanted this, I can't take a victory lap. But it's not because they didn't want it. It's
no. Right. They wanted it, but they know that it's unpopular.
So Mitch McConnell, probably the most, if there's one person over the last half decade that has had more effect and influence in this decision coming to be brought, right, it's got to be Mitch. So what did he say when they asked him about it? You got to be happy. He said, we're concerned about the leak. The guy that you would think would spike the football and stuff is like, even I recognize that it's not a popular decision, and so I'm not going to celebrate it publicly, but in my donors and my fundraisers for my campaign when I campaign again on this stuff, because remember the decision is probably going to come out this summer again, close for the midterms and stuff, so it's going to energize, de-energize, whatever and stuff, whichever party and stuff. But the Republicans are spinning the leak as that this is good for Democrats because their campaign.
They have to. It's misdirection because they have to. They don't want to talk about the policy because they know the policy isn't popular. What they want to talk about is the process.
Yes, because we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah. It's not that I cheated on you. I want to know who told you.
Yes. Yeah. Which one of your lying friends?
Yeah, we want to know. We'll get to whether it's true or not. I just want to know who snitched.
Yeah. Who told you that?
Because that's the most important issue. It ain't that I've been boning somebody. It's who told you about it.
That's right.
That's what I'm mad about today. That's what we're going to talk about today is who told you.
But don't be. They want this. It's not, and so I guess I'm pushing back on the dog that got the car. No. The dog got the bone. This is exactly what they wanted. This is exactly what they wanted. They have campaigned. They've been campaigning. It wasn't a soundbite. This is what they wanted.
So Jermaine, to your point, I thought about this and said, it's funny because it's not popular. They can't run on it, but yes, they actually can, because this is what Republicans have figured out over the last 10 presidential cycles, that they rarely win the popular vote. Yeah. But they still won the White House and they won majorities in the House and the Senate. There's no other local or statewide race where if you don't win the popular vote, you still win.
Yes.
The presidential the federal is that only thing where in the presidency basically is, even if you lose by 8 million votes, you can still win.
You still win.
That should be impossible. So you don't represent the majority. Your leadership doesn't reflect really the will of the people. So when you're looking at a bill that's not popular, who cares? Because you don't need the popular vote to push your agenda anyway. You just need to suppress votes, and you need to strategically win your battleground states.
When people say that it's not popular, understand how many voters came out for Trump? Like 72 million. It was a record. It was a record for a sitting president, right?
Yep.
And so when we say it's not popular, it's very popular. Very, very popular. There are a lot of people say people can't stand Trump. No. There are a lot of people who love him, and they showed it because they showed up and showed out in terms of their numbers. It just so happens that a lot more people hate him than those who love him.
But there's a whole lot of them that love him.
But not a lot in terms of population. What was it, 8 million more votes that Biden got? But
yeah, so we got roughly 150 million out of the 350 million adults in the United States.
Yeah. And so when you look at that, the big thing, that's why the efforts for voter suppression began right after that election cycle, right? Because they understand that if we make it hard enough or just inconvenient, not hard, not impossible, but inconvenient for a lot of people, we can get those numbers down. Because a lot of those numbers were up. The reason it was historically high is because we made it easier to access the vote. And that's what happens. And that's what happens when we do that. And that's why Democrats are like, everybody should vote, because we know if everybody has the opportunity to vote in a convenient manner for them, that they will. And we know what the country by population would vote. They would vote for our policies and stuff. And so that's why they want to go for voter rights, not because they think it's right, but because they think they will win. Republicans, on the other hand, understand that disruptionism will help their cause and stuff.
Exactly. All right. So we're going to do our final thoughts. Lori, you have the floor. You haven't gotten to put in anything, so you take as long as you want with the final thoughts. It ain't got to be 30 seconds. It could be 30 minutes if you want. Go for it. We'll sit right here.
Your vote, please go out and vote. Recognize the crazy people that is in here and make sure that you vote in your local election.
All right. Well said. JP, final thoughts.
Final thoughts is that, so we came to the show talking about hypocrisy, right? About the people wanting it both ways. And so to piggyback on my sister, you can't have it both ways. You can't be outraged and silent at the same time. If you want your voice to be heard, we have a process. And I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that there might not be some obstacles in your way in order for you to get there. But you've got to turn that energy into positive energy. You can't say online and on Twitter and on social media and stuff how much you hate these things, and then when our elections come through, you don't come through. In North Carolina right now, in Charlotte, May 17th, that is the official day for voting. Early voting is open right now. I encourage you, if you're somebody that's say I'm not savvy about politics and stuff, if you Google the Black Political Caucus, they have a list of candidates that support our issues and stuff that have been pre-vetted by Black Political Caucus. Go there, take that sheet with you, go to the voting booth and make your voice heard. And it's through unity and support, just like those Republicans who are really good with their unifying message. If we can be unified, we can have our voices heard, and we can be the change that we need.
Man, well said. And I'm going to piggyback off of the both of you and just add to that. Yes, elections are on May 17th. And if you don't understand a lot of these political issues, I would encourage you to start watching things, to start attending things, listen to things. I know it may sound boring, but as you can see, your vote matters. If your vote didn't matter, there wouldn't be people out there trying to keep you from being able to do it. Always ask yourself, why are they always trying so hard to suppress the vote? Because if you can vote, you can derail a lot of the things that they want to do. They want you to believe your vote doesn't matter. People want you to be so disengaged, so distracted with your day-to-day life. And God knows, between dealing with your crazy wife, dealing with your crazy kids, dealing with your pastor, dealing with your neighbors, dealing with the bill collectors, all the things, your boss, everybody, did I say your crazy wife? All of that. I might have said it twice, but that's okay. Crazy wife. Anyway, all of that is meant to serve as a distraction to you, and it's easy to get caught up in that day-to-day. But a lot of those things that you deal with on a day-to-day really is tied directly to who we put in these positions to represent us. We have to continue to remember that our voice is the voice that they should be listening to, not interest that basically buy their votes and by how they legislate or don't legislate. It's up to all of us to make sure that, yes, our voices are being heard and not suppressed. Whether they will mail you a ballot, whether you got to take yourself down to the actual polling site, whether there's early voting or there's same day voting. And I know that that's not always easy and convenient for everybody because people got to go to work. But figure it out. And please, if you don't do anything else, call up somebody else that you know good and well ain't thinking about voting and encourage hey, what are you doing Saturday? You want to go down and do some early voting with me? And see if they can invite somebody and see if that person can invite somebody. And before you know it, turn it into a nice event. Make it something that you do every single year. Don't wait for the presidential elections because, guys, I've been saying this all along. Elections are local. Once the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, it's not going to be a federal thing anymore anyway. It's going to be a state thing. And you have those state elections year after year after year, whether it's for commissioners, mayors, state senators, governors, lieutenant governors, judges. All of those roles will be determined by you. That has nothing to do with every 4 years, do I hate the president? This ain't about Joe Biden. This ain't about Donald Trump. This is about who is in our backyard and who we want to represent us. On a separate note, speaking about president, I don't know about Joe Biden being president, but I know my daughter, Faith Alicia Parker, is the student vice president at Winston-Salem State University, and she graduating tomorrow. You go, girl. You do your thing. See, she'll show you get to do that. But we all proud of you, Faith. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Walking across that stage, getting that degree in mass communication. 4 years. Girl, you did it. We all proud of you. Much love. I'm happy as I can be. And before it looks like there's tears coming out, we're going to end this show this week. Thank you for joining us for another week of Head to Head. We'll see y'all next week. Take care. Peace.
This is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda.